Utaalamu wa kuotesha uyoga umeshika mwamko mpya humu nchini baada ya watu kutilia maanani lishe bora na manufaa mengi ya zao hili la uyoga, yani mushroom.
My names are Mushura Magego. This is Juja, Kiambu County. I do mushroom farming, and is a business that I've done for the last 5 years, and this is my 6th year. Since the year 2013.
Ustawishaji wa uyoga utofautiana katika mahitaji yake kwa sababu kuna aina tofauti za uyoga. Hii ni pamoja na hewa nzuri, malighafi ya kutosha, urahisi wa teknolojia ya kuotesha katika mazingira tofauti hapa nchini na soko lake kwa wananchi vilevile katika mahoteli.
The kind of structure we do here are mud houses. And the reason as to why we do mud houses is that mushrooms house should be well insulated. That means that the internal environment should not be affected by the external environment. So when it gets hot, during the hot season or maybe during the cold season, the internal environment or inside the room, we should always maintain constant parameters, that is our temperatures and also humidity. For the growing rooms, there are 2 processes that goes in. One is the incubation that takes for a duration of 28 days, and thereafter we induce the fruiting season. That is, during incubation we should maintain temperatures of 22 to above 25 degrees Celsius, which are the best recommended for incubation of the mycelium. And that's why the kind of structure you have do dictates the end product. To maintain those temperatures, you need a kind of structure that do not vary. The temperatures do not vary so much during the day and also during the night. Especially here, the environment we are doing this farming, during the days the temperatures are relatively high, and during the night the temperatures also goes too low. But when you're incubating, those temperatures should not vary at all. And that's why we have done the mud houses, so that we can maintain a constant or a cross ledge of those temperatures at room temperature. Some of my houses are made of iron sheets and others are made of makuti. The makuti are more superior than mabati. But the disadvantage is that the makuti are not available in our locality. That's why most of my houses, majority of my houses, have used the iron sheets. But I do compensate by making sure that the ceiling is made of an insulating material, especially the styrofoams, which are good insulators. They do not allow any heat to get in the houses, and I can maintain with ease the temperatures that I need are comfortable. But if the makuti are available in our locality, I would rather use them because they maintain or they keep the room cool, and that we cannot have those problems of temperatures rising so high inside our growing houses. We also incorporate the air conditioners as the cyclone, which are fans that are controlled by the wind, and they facilitate to bring temperatures down inside our rooms. If one can construct a standard mushrooms growing house with standard measures, especially like this, So you find that we are having three lows. So this one, the far head, we also have another one on the other head, and also the center one, whereby the dimension, so from one shelf to the other, it should be at least 2 foot. It should give you an ample space when you are working inside those looms, when you are tending to your mushrooms, either you're harvesting or maybe you are casing or whichever activity that you're doing. It should give you enough space when you are doing your work here. Then also the width of your shelves should not be more than the far you can stretch your head. So our human head can maybe go up to about 3 foot, a width of about 5, which is the recommended, so that you can work on both ends, so 2.5 and 2.5 on the other side. But the one that are towards your wall, then should have a maximum width of about 2.5 foot. Then also this structure, as you can see, you can have 2 ways. You can have the bagging method and also the tray method. Now this loom is designed for the tray method, so where this now acts as our tray, and we get a polythene sheet and we put it here. We spread it here. We spread our polythene sheet, and it becomes as a basin. Then we bring now our lady compost and we put it inside the tray and we level it. Then we put our spoon and we incubate. But the disadvantage for doing the tray method is that in case of infection, you find that you can have a very big loss. But the bagging method is easier to manage, because in case of infection you can isolate and discard.
Uyoga unaokuzwa hapa nchini kwa wingi ni aina ya vifundo au button na mamama au oyster. Aina hizi mbili zinaweza kutumika moja kwa moja kama chakula au matibabu, ingawa kwa viwango vidogo.
The variety that we do here are the button mushrooms, especially the white. At times we also do portabella mushrooms, which are brown in color, and also sometimes we also do oyster mushrooms. So the 3 varieties are the more common mushrooms variety we have, but the most variety which commands the market is the button mushrooms.
Kilimo Hai leo itaweza kukuangazia zaidi kuhusu ukuzaji wa uyoga wa vifundo au button mushroom.
And that's why we are going to find that we do more on button mushrooms than any other variety here, because the market dictates what a farmer should always take to the market.
Wakati wa kupanda uyoga, hatua kadhaa muhimu huhitajika kufuatwa, ambapo ni uwezo wa malighafi na jinsi ya kutayarisha kwa kuchanganya na aina zingine za mbolea, na kwa muda wa siku ngapi.
For mushrooms to grow, they require a media where they have to grow, and we usually refer it as a substrate, although the common name is the compost. Our main raw material is the wheat straw, although we can also use the sugarcane bagasse or the light straw, but we do prefer to use the wheat straw, because wheat straw has high nitrogen content, and mushrooms being fungi, they do feed more on nitrogen giving material, and straw being one of them, so we do prefer. The other advantage of wheat straw over other raw material is that its structure, it retains its structure even after decomposition. Thus, it can give the mycelium an easy movement when they are spreading. So I would advise any farmer to use the wheat straw because it's easier to do with and also is easier to manage. If you use the sugarcane baggies, due to its spongy in nature, in most cases it will become waterlogged. Although if one is careful when doing it, it will give a better yield than any other material. So the only disadvantage is that due to its spongy nature, then it has a challenge during composting. We usually source the wheat straw from Narok, Nakuru, Mount Narok, Nyahururu, or even at times Meru and Nanyuki. Although it's not a big deal because there are people who do supply us with the wheat straw, and it's advisable if a farmer want to get the wheat straw when it's cheaper, they look the time when the wheat is being harvested, and its cost it's about 130 and 150 during the harvesting of wheat straw season. But when it is off season, it can go up to about 300 or 350 per bale. So it's good if one can have a good storage. It is free from water, then one can store the wheat straw even for many years.
Hadi sasa ni wananchi wachache wanaofanya kilimo cha uyoga kwa sababu manufaa yake hayajahamasishwa ipasavyo. Nia yetu ni kuwapa mwangaza wa jinsi biashara hii inavyoweza kukunufaisha.
This is our composting method. This is the composting process. And in composting, we use the basic raw material here as the wheat straw. And the other thing that we add, we call them the supplement. We do add chicken manure, although we can also substitute with horse manure sometimes. There is the urea fertilizer, there is the cotton seed, and especially those supplements. Most of them are very rich in nitrogen content. And this composting is done within a duration of 28 days. I do it within 28 days. And the first process is that I bring the wheat straw here. I spread my polythene sheet, and after that I have to break my bales and water them in layers. I have to water it consecutive for 3 days. After the third day, I have to add a supplement like the chicken manure and also water, because for proper decomposition, water has to facilitate the process. And after another 3 days, we also add other supplement, the cotton seed, the urea, and also the molasses that gives the energy for quicker decomposition. We also use the EM1, that is effective microbes, or BM, which is also biological microbes, to act as a catalyst to quicken up the rate of decomposition. And they also help us to reduce the amount of the bad smell that can originate when the process is decomposing. So it's very essential and also needed. We use the EM1 or the BM when you are decomposing the wheat straw. But the process is long, although we have to turn. After 3 days, we have to turn. We add a supplement, or we turn and we fumigate. The first 2 weeks, so we usually call it the first composting process, and it usually involves the decomposition of the substrate so that the wheat straw will soften, and also watering. The second phase of decomposition we usually call it the conditioning process, whereby we reduce the amount of water. We also reduce by adding agricultural lime to reduce the acidity in the substrate, so that we can bring the pH to about 7.0 to about 7.5 in value. The agricultural lime do facilitate that, and without the agricultural lime, then it's very hard for us to find that our substrate, especially when you use the ammonium sulfate, it's mandatory we use the agricultural lime. Then we also add gypsum as our last supplement that gives the substrate a structure. So when we add the gypsum, you can find that our compost is loosened. At this stage, we are almost to plant our compost. So, and the process is called the spawning. So when you see the spawning, the spawns are the seeds that grows mushrooms. So the process of adding the seed to the prepared substrate is called the spawning. So it has to be done when the substrate is loosened, and also the water capacity is about 60%. The moisture content is about 70%. Then it's ready for us to have it, for us to spawn. And the color of the substrate should be dark brown.
Kilimo Hai leo itaweza kukuangazia zaidi kuhusu ukuzaji wa uyoga wa vifundo au button mushroom.
So the second phase in mushrooms cultivation is in the incubation process that has to be done indoors. This incubation is also divided into two. The first incubation, we refer it as the spawn learning. After impregnating the compost with the seed, what we refer as the spawn, we give it a duration of 14 days in a warm environment, and that's why we are calling it incubation. We keep it in a constant environment inside a dark loom, and also the loom should be well insulated, and also should be tightly closed, so there is no interference during this duration. After the first 14 days, we add a top layer of soil to a depth of 1.5 inch on top of the substrate, the process that we call the casing. And this casing soil should be prepared, or we usually first we source this casing soil from a virgin forest soil. I get my casing soil either at Kenali Forest, past Kimende, or at Kafiruini, which is next to Kafiruini Nyeri, next to Kimathi Institute of Kimathi University. That's where we usually get our casing soil, because most of the soil that we have is either polluted or it has been farming for years, so the soil structure is interfered. But once you get the casing soil, you find that it's virgin, and it's easier to get the pH and also the soil structure which is needed with ease.
Uzalishaji wa uyoga unazingatia sana hali ya hewa na vifaa ulivyo navyo. Hivyo basi, kabla haujachagua aina ya uyoga wa kupanda, ni muhimu kupata ushauri kutoka kwa wataalamu walio karibu na wewe.
We also improve the casing soil with material as the coco peat, which improves the texture of the soil. We can also add mallam, which is also a good source or a substitute of the coco peat. And we can also add vermiculite process, the vermiculite thing that improve the water retention capability. You find that especially during the fruiting period, when the soil is exposed due to the high temperatures at times, you find that the soil gets dry easily. So that we can improve the water retenability or the water retention in our casing soil, we add the vermiculite. You can also see our ceiling is made of the styrofoam. You can also use thick blankets so that we can maintain the inner environment with ease. So we find that the room must always be well insulated. There are those yellow papers that you can see, and those are used to trap insects. For mushrooms, we usually get a parasite, the mushroom fly or the fruit flies, that are very destructive to a crop. But once you use the fly trap or those yellow papers, they usually attract the flies, and when they attach themselves or they get closer to the paper, they stuck there. It's a natural process to eliminate those parasites other than using the insecticides, because once you spray too much of chemicals to the mushrooms, their pH changes and the production is affected. So if it's possible, you keep off those chemicals, the better. That's why we are using the insects traps.
Ingawa aina hizi zote za uyoga zinakuzwa hapa nchini, ni watu wachache wanaoweza kukuza uyoga unaotumika kama dawa kwa sababu ya mahitaji yake.
Before you get into your mushroom house, you should disinfect your food, for they need high standard of hygiene, so that whatever foreign pathogens you have outside the room, so you get into the room when you are clean. This is the button variety, which is white in color, and we usually harvest this size. The temperature here should be maintained below 20 degrees Celsius. That is achievable by constructing a well insulated room and also increasing the humidity of the room by spraying mist water inside the mushrooms houses. Also, during the fruiting season, we do open our windows for air to circulate, and when the air is circulating and also the humidity is high, we induce the fruiting period. For these mushrooms, we do harvest when they are button size, and that's why we call them the button mushrooms. And we harvest them by rotating them clockwise and anti-clockwise, and is as easy as that. And we separate the lower part, and also we use a soft brush so that we can dust or we can remove the small soil particles that are attached to the mushrooms. Then we pack them in those plastic containers, pannets. And for button mushrooms, their color coding should be either blue or green.
Kenya iko na uwezo wa kuzalisha takriban tani 600 za uyoga kwa mwaka, ambapo ni kiasi kidogo sana kulingana na hitaji la tani 1200 za uyoga zinazohitajika kwa mwaka.
The advantage of button mushrooms over other variety is that they are commercially viable. As you can see, they give us high yields, and also the market, they command the market. You find that with 100 kg of button mushrooms on daily basis, you can access a market with ease. But any other variety, their market share is small.
Uyoga una kiwango cha juu cha protein, fiber na madini mengi ya mwili.
They are very high in protein, and even one can substitute either from eating red meat with mushrooms. They also reduce cholesterol level in the system. That's as a medicinal value. They boost our immune system and also promote our self-healing processes. So there is much more health benefit of eating mushrooms regularly. So the challenges for mushrooms, the first one is the management problem. In most cases is brought by carelessness. When you are doing the composting, is a very crucial moment or a process, and we should not do any shortcut. So the whole process must be followed so that you can maintain the actual pH and also the actual moisture content. If compost it's not fully prepared, eventually it will fail you, because you might find that when there is too much of ammonia in the substrate, that ammonia will kill the seed and there is no production. At times you also have pests, especially the mites. They are very destructive. We also have the mushroom flies, also very destructive. And the fourth challenge we usually have is the fungal infection. Although if proper care is taken during the preparation before spawning, then you find that the challenges are reduced drastically. For us to harvest, from the day we do our spawning, it takes between 36 40 days, and we have our crop. So the whole process, if we add the 28 days and also these 40 days during the incubation, then it gets now to a total of about 68 days. Or we can simply say that within a duration of 70 days from the preparation to fruiting, you have your mushrooms ready to be harvested to the market. And they usually sprout in flushes. All the mushrooms you can see will be finished and others will start sprouting. Those are what we call the flushes. And we might have 4 or 5 flushes.
Kwa wale waliona shauku ya kwamba uyoga ni sumu, basi fahamu ya kwamba uyoga ni chakula hata zaidi na nyama unayoamini sana.
So we usually have our knives. These are the fruit knives or any other knives. We also add a soft brush so that we can remove those soil dust particles, so that when you pack your mushrooms, they should be presentable to every eye. That's how we do it. So it facilitates, we cut the lower part and then we brush, and then we place it on the panel. I do have a connection of a network of farmers whom I train, and we take the produce to the market together so that we can capture a particular market. Because throughout the year, no matter how good I am, there are forces of nature that has to put me off the production. Maybe the wheat straw delays, or maybe the fruiting may also delay. And since the market needs mushrooms on daily basis, I do outsource mushrooms from other farmers. There is also the training I do offer to farmers, extensive visit to their farm, where I train them on how to make the compost and nurture the mushrooms until they are packed and we take them to the market. Okay, like this loom, 15 by 24 in dimension. The input cost is about 120,000 Kenya shillings. And our output, we do expect at least we harvest between 400 kilos to about 500 kilos of fresh mushrooms.
Sitishan, makala ya Kilimo Hai.